Pioneers, welcome back to the Follow Your Path channel. I call you pioneers because that's what you are. You are a pioneer. You are consciousness exploring itself at the bleeding edge. That's you. You are taking a path that has not been taken. You are alchemizing internal family systems and generational patterns that have been steering the boat for the longest time. You, as the pioneer, the cycle breaker, are taking things in a new direction. And that is why you would find this channel. So, welcome, and thank you to everybody who's here for the first time. Now, let's go back to that word pioneer for just a moment. A pioneer is a trailblazer. A pioneer is someone who carves their own unique path, not the one that's been traveled on. So, your path, what is that? Well, your path is the way that you engage with, the way that you express, the way that you use that divine expression within you, that God source energy, that universal life force energy, whatever you want to call it. The way that you use that is your path. The way that you dance with it. Everybody has it flowing through them, pulsating, inundating their whole body, their cellular structure. It's just moving through. And when love is not present, even though love is the force that allows us to be here and have this experience, when we are not holding our attention on love, on excitement, on expansion, on growth, on contribution, on joy, and we are holding on to any level of shame and guilt and self judgment and these lower vibrational energies, it dims the light in our cells. Literally, our cells start to degenerate because our cells are made of light, photons. You are a series of trillions of photons at the smallest level, right? There might even be a smaller level than photon, but I just forget the name. But you're light. And that energy out there, the sun is light. Energy is light. The universe is light. Darkness, therefore, is the absence of love. It is the absence of order and truth. And why do we think that the systems have created a farming system that keeps people in low vibrational energies, that keeps people in survival in their lowest chakra? It's so that their cells are degenerating, that they don't have that light and they're kept in darkness. They're kept in the basement on the ground floor, which is what I've talked about here before. And I want to just bring it back to this is a big responsibility to take hold of that God force energy in you and use it. And I'm saying I'm giving an explanation to this because it's not this new age hippie thing that only Jesus could do. You've got to be cultivating light within you by holding those higher vibrations. Now, it's okay if you have experiences where you drop down for a little bit, for a shorter period of time, but you don't stay there because now you know what it's doing to your body. And that's where you can get attacked by lower vibrational entities and you attract in other things of the like. And you don't want that, right? That's what we're evolving beyond. And this is a realm of duality. So that's here. Not a bad thing. It's actually great because it allows us to explore and, understand and get these things in the nature of our reality. But now that you know the utility, it's like, okay, I want to build some light. I don't want to keep making choices that keep me in the dark and keep my cells from degenerating and aging and this cortisol just destroying my internal system, my organs, my tissue, my fascia, everything. Inflammation just everywhere because I have a lack of light. And you might say, well, how do I cultivate this? And this took me a while to get it to land. So I want to try to convey this in a way that really, really gets in there for you. And that is, I want you to look at your circumstances, whatever they are, that are causing stress, that are pulling you emotionally, that are taking you out of your center. I want you to look at what those are. Usually it's money, job, relationships, health. And I want you to just throw it off the table. Get it out of here. Has nothing to do with anything any longer. In this moment, you can decide right now that you are going to only bring love, generation, right? Order, life giving, sustenance to the place that you have been finding yourself struggle, whether it's your low bank account, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a relationship challenge that's been going on, whatever that is, a dynamic with somebody in your life, whatever that is, I want you to bring it to the forefront, bring the energy of love into your body, into your heart, become the source of that, and then absorb those challenges, those things that have kept you in the dark that you've made separate and put outside of you. Absorb that into your light and wrap it in your cosmic love that God gave you, that the universe provided you with, that alchemizes anything in the dark, any of the shadows. And keep yourself there and keep bringing that love, that new possibility. This is how you are, this is how you become a magician, right? This is how you start to take responsibility to use that God force, cosmic light energy within you that creates worlds and universes. That's in you. How you going to use it? Because most people, they just have it sitting there and they don't use it at all, right? They're so locked into the body consciousness. They're so locked into the problem out there, the circumstance dictating who they are and what their story is going to be, that they don't realize that within them is a well of a with a substance that could change everything and pretty quickly, depending on your level of attention and intention, right? You have a wellspring of love inside of you that is ready to be used. And that's why you're here during the Aquarian age, because this is the age where we are learning to use these gifts, this wisdom, this ancient knowingness inside of us. We get to now use this. We get to support each other in this, and we get to shower the world with this creative energy that comes from love. If someone in your life has been showing up a certain way that even though you're doing the work and it seems like, maybe they're not, or there's some kind of villain in your story, I want you to take this cosmic light and shower them with it. Bathe them with it in your imagination anytime they come to mind instead of vilification, separation. Have the awareness and the knowingness of what that's doing, the power that that holds to change your scenario. Because until the consciousness is changed, the outer world cannot reflect anything new. You've probably heard that before. Maybe you haven't. If you have for the first time, that's a bar. Take that in. Live by that. You are a magician. You are an alchemizer, and you are life itself. You are God expressed in physical form. And if you have any judgments, it's like, oh, that's weird. Like that goes against my religious stuff. I have a bunch of videos on that. This is the age of transcending that. This is going to be the time where a large amount of people start to know themselves as that divine Christ light in the heart, oneness with all beings. And again, not in a kumbaya hippie way. Where it's like it's all light and there's no dark. No, we're learning to balance these things so that, because if you look around, it's gotten very imbalanced, right? There's a lot more darkness than light, it seems like, out there. And that just speaks to the amount of human beings that are in an imbalance inside of them and having a lot more darkness than light, a lot more ignorance than knowingness. Okay. So, if you're watching a channel like this, it's twofold. You're here to help with this. You're here to be a very powerful being that's anchoring that light and that energy onto the planet. And my invitation, very strong invitation, is to start using it for good and start within, start with yourself. Start to bless the things in your life that have once been labeled as challenges and labeled as obstacles that were hurting you. And whatever that story was, bless that with that cosmic light energy inside of you, knowing that love generates, regenerates, builds, creates, right? We're going to build now. We're not going to be destroyers. Well, we are destroying the old constructs within us. Let me rephrase this. You're a creator, right? It's all about creating. It's not about reinventing the old. It's not about you gotta. This is a whole new process that's opening up. This is a whole new expression of freedom that you're gonna get to live as by saying yes to this. Okay, the old systems are crumbling within and without, but this begins within you and starting to use your wisdom, starting to use your cosmic light for good and going beyond any limiting belief that's like, oh, well, I don't know about that. I tried that before. No, 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 no. You didn't. You didn't embody it. You maybe had it as a concept and maybe you visited it every now and then, right? Because out here it takes a little bit of time in 3D space for things to catch up, and you probably gave up before that, as I did many times. You're a pioneer that's going to be examples for the people around you on how this works. So people will ask you, how'd you do that? What are you doing? What are you up to? How's this happening? And that is them saying, I'm opening the door to something different for a new possibility. I'm ready to explore that because this ain't it, right? Now, a big part of my path, as I've said before, had a lot of insecurity, a lot of doubt, a lot of little me awareness where I was just constantly up in the mind and making everything about myself. I was just really locked into body consciousness, physicalness. Material world had me very much hypnotized. And so I had dark thoughts going on and I was depleting my energy without realizing it and then trying to make up for it in other ways. And happiness just seemed impossible. Empowerment seemed impossible. It would show up and then it would be gone because I didn't realize that I was so imbalanced and most of my thought energy, my awareness was going to dark places and I was losing the light in my cells. I was losing my photonic capacity. And I didn't realize how the body works, how energy works. And I was just doing this to myself because I was never taught it and I was never led to these things until I found them and discovered them for myself. You are light. And it is your job to connect to that light inside of you and start to have an intimate relationship with it because you are worthy of it. And you do not need to let your beautiful inner child be frightened and fearful all the time anymore. You do not have to let a beautifully bright future, but why do we use these words, bright future? Because it's light. You're bringing light to your path. You're bringing light to all the things that you were holding in the darkness, including all of the things that were spellbinding you to the material world. And you're saying, nope, circumstances have zero power over me. And thank you to all of the people and circumstances that my soul is creating to be in my movie that are helping me to embody this higher expression because I wouldn't be able to make the new choice if I wasn't in that same familiar energy that I had stepped back in. When I was in fear, I stepped back. I didn't lean in to this person that I say I'm choosing to be and creating to be. I didn't bring love to it. I allowed fear to choose for me. This is the eternal choice, right? This is the balance of the light and the day, 12 hours of peace. Which one are you gonna walk? Are you gonna spend more time in the daylight or in the darkness? That's what it really comes down to. Because when you start to use the power of your imagination and you start to meditate and you start to connect with that light inside of you, then guess what? It's always summertime, baby. It's always summertime season when you're in love because that is your garden is just ripe. The summertime is going on within you, no longer winter. It might be winter out there, but it's summertime in you, baby. You got your bathing suit on, you're diving off the high dive, you're doing the backstroke, maybe you're at a nude beach, Whatever your summertime looks like, that's happening in you allegorically. Because now you've transitioned from orientation of being a human out here into cosmic creator inside you. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Because as I'm saying this, maybe you'll start to remember. Maybe this won't just be a video that you watch and you're like, "Oh, that gave me a good little dopamine buzz. All right, now I'm going to go back to my shitty job and I'm going to go back to complaining and blaming people." Right? Like you got like that's where our attention systems are going. We can hear like this timeless wisdom, these transmissions, and then get high from it and then just go back to the way that things were. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I've done it many times. But the more that I know, the more that I start to connect the dots and make sense of these things, then it's like, oh, okay, my awareness field is expanding. And now it's like, I really know. I'm starting to get how this works. And now that that's in my awareness, when the choice point comes, it's a whole different experience than what it used to be. Like I'm like with love, I used to see that as like, why do people always talk about love? It's like love, love, love. Love is the universe, love is God. But I didn't really like it wasn't landing in here. I didn't understand that love is light and it's life force and what it touches, it grows and it expands and it enlivens and animates, right? Whereas the shadows contract, the darkness pulls you away from yourself. It pulls you down in back into the material world spell where you think you're the body and you're holding shame and guilt because you think that you're a separate self away from the creator that brought you here, that made this possible. And when you're in that illusion, your own body lets you know that that is you're dying, you're decaying, right? When you're in the seven deadly sins, which sin just means missing the mark, you're decaying, you're losing light, and that's why expressions like fear of the Lord existed. Not you should fear God, be a God-fearing man, like some of the Christian folks would say. No, 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 no. And I knew this as a child. I knew that was wrong. I was like, no, why? I'm not. I don't fear God. That's not. That doesn't sound right to me. To fear the Lord means that you know the consequences and you should be very wary of the consequences of when you sin and miss the mark and you go down into shame and guilt and lower vibrational things and you hold your awareness there, your attention there. That's a sin. You're missing the mark, baby. Don't do that because it hurts you and it takes away your light and it decays you and it ages you and it destroys your cells and it destroys things in your body. It takes the light out of your eyes. Do not do that to yourself. This is why self love is so important because the more that you love you, you will never want to do these things. And the part of you that wants to do it, and it's kind of like an addict, and it's like a weird, kinky ego part that's like, yeah, I want a sub dom dynamic here. I want to dominate you, and you're gonna sub to me. Just like what happens in the outer world with governments and leaders just doming everybody and everyone just being subs to them. This game's happening within us. Make no mistake about it. Of course, as within, so without. Where are you getting dominated? Where's that part of you being the dom, not letting you have freedom, being like, get back in your prison, right? Let's laugh at this, but it's very real. Oh, it's very real. And there's a sexual energy behind it, right? Cosmic Kink, great book. You should read that. Maybe it might light some things up for you as it did for me. I'm like, wow, I got this like weird ego freaky side that likes to control and dominate me. And I just give into it. And I just go, yes, master. And I just get back in the prison and I do the old pattern and I, you know, just listen to whatever the ego says. Like it's a tyrannical child running the show, like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. That's the king that's inside of you instead of the supreme king, Christ, not Jesus the man, but the Christ light, the power of God inside of you, the knowingness of who you are. You are the king. What you have inside of you is the king. That's the king energy. That's you. You're not separate from it. There's not a hierarchy with that. It's you. It's the only place I really, disagree with Christianity is they pedestalize Jesus so much, and I can just almost imagine him saying, like, that's not what I was getting at. I did not want a religion formed around this. I was just telling you who you are. I was laying down a template so that you guys could have an example of what's in you and what's possible when you know who you are. But no, confess as Lord and Jesus. Lord Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And I see this like amazing man just sitting right there. It's not what I said. I said, you will do as I and more. You are the light of the world. The kingdom of heaven's inside you, bro. Sister. Wow, we went a couple different places here. Amazing. I like to open the channel and I don't always know where it's going to go because it's more exciting that way and it's more I can start to feel it inside and then I can share it with you because I'm you and you're me and there's a reason that you're here because you're ready to receive this in a new way. Now, you want to go deeper. You want to anchor this. This is the work that God put me on the planet to do. This is what I help people with. So if you're called to this, if this speaks to your heart, I have a couple spaces left open for very intimate, deep dive one on one coaching, which I do for minimum of 3 months. And there's a reason for that. I don't have a lot of space for that, but I do have space for the activation sessions, which if you want to get your stuff lit on fire, if you want to get back to that purpose, if you want to get excited, if you want to remember who the fuck you are and anchor that in and ground it into your body, these sessions are perfect for that. I don't care who you are. Doesn't matter what you're doing out there. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. If this speaks to you, if you feel like the light has gone out a little bit, or if there's some stagnant energy, or if there's you know, something going on that's taking power over you, come in and let's do this. Let's hit you with some lightning bolts because this is very important right now. We need as many people to get out of that stagnant place and to harness their light and to become who they are and to anchor that light onto the planet. This is go time. Okay. So if you're feeling excited about that, sign up for a session because I don't know how long I'm going to do those for, but it's really here for me right now. These codes are super strong. Let's do it. Join me. Let's go. I'm super happy to partner with you and see you become the force of light that you are meant to be and start to become the magician and send that light everywhere and start to be responsible with this incredibly all powerful energy inside of you. So it's not just sitting there and you're just shuffling around like a silly little human, not using your wisdom. No, 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 no. Those times are over. That's with the Piscean age. See you later. This is the Aquarian, and I'm gonna keep hammering this because get excited about this. This is a big deal. You're here for this. This is a very special time, a very special energy that's available. Let's go. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, if you're watching at this point, you've probably subscribed, but if you haven't, give it a subscribe, give it a like, write something that you received from this in the comment section so there can be some engagement because I've heard other YouTube channels say that before and I thought it was more for clout, but it's like it's true. You want to engage with the people that are finding themselves here because those are your people. Those are the ones that resonate with you, right? And it gets the message out to more people on the algorithm and it brings more light into the space and more opportunity to alchemize any of the darkness that other people might have been carrying. And if the darkness wants to find its way in here, you getting greeted with a big ass hug, being get over here, you little darky, you little dark energy. Oh man. That's how I am in ceremonies that I hold. Which is why no darkness of that kind really ever comes in. Ever. Because I'm like, hey, get over here. I'm gonna shower you with a light you never even could have imagined. And it's like, oh shit, I don't want that. That's what we're doing here too on the channel. So love you guys. And yeah, let's go. It's time. If you're watching this, Let that land very deep inside of you. I'm looking right into your soul and I'm saying, let's go. You're on this team. This is, there's a little bit of an urgency here. There's a little bit of like, let's shift the direction of this planet together. We can only do it together. So I will see you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in. As always, peace within is peace without.